We are back to the warehouse for Ball in Play 2. Half of the teams are gone. Let's talk ball. Welcome to the Blitzball Boys, the podcast about ball and sports and warehouse stuff, but lately about ball and play. I'm your co-host, Brendan Ruppel, along with my fellow host, Peter Del Rey.
Hey, Brendan.
Hey.
So not only are half the teams gone, it's the same fucking teams from the last tournament.
Is that true?
That's what in the pregame for Del Caribe versus Hookline.
Oh, last sport, like Blitzball.
Last sport.
I was like, I don't think the Woos didn't play Let's Ball and Play.
Because Melinda was like, neither of these teams gave me anything, or she said both these teams gave me something, one of those two. Mm-hmm. She goes, so I'm just going to go off of some warehouse history, and McFlurry Power, all three of the teams were in the semifinals last time. Said, who else was there? McFlurry Power, so I'll pick them.
That's funny. I mean, that's actually kind of crazy. So all of the bottom four teams that have no points still have no points in the overall Cup standings.
I believe so.
Uh-huh.
I believe so.
I mean, another great showing for Melinda. Melinda also loves mustaches, apparently. She loves Drew Davis's mustache so much. We said it last episode. Her fandom for the sport is not wavering. It's only growing. She's having so much fun. The playoffs really have ramped up in energy with seemingly less people in the stands. I don't know if you noticed this. I was seeing less people, like they're less crowded out there, but it's getting louder and rowdier, and I think the warehouse effect is is happening.
Yeah.
They're just getting loopy as shit. I love it.
I wish we could have been there. I do wish we could have been there, but I do really like seeing it live, when it comes out.
Yeah. No, it would be different.
That's awesome.
It is. My one note overall is that
One note.
This is the only thing I'm going to say the whole episode. You can take it from here after this. These games weren't that good. Like the playoff games themselves weren't great.
How dare you?
The energy from the warehouse was so good, and it was getting really snippy to a point where the entertainment value was better than the rest of the games. But like as far as like the games themselves, most of them felt kind of like blowouts a little bit.
You really think that?
I feel like there was never like too much pressure. All the pressure came from the shit talking.
Take a really quick look at that Rotten versus Woogas. The final score doesn't tell it how it is, but there was a point in the second inning, the bottom of the second, when Rotten was batting, where I really was like, oh my God, are they about to fucking do this?
Yeah.
Because if you look at their score, they're 3 balls away from winning. So it's a little deceptive. 83-69 is a little deceptive because if any team can hit like the sixes like that,
right? That's three.
All Trev had
balls.
to do was like take a couple for a ride.
Right.
2 6s and a 4 wins them the game.
Yeah.
You know? So that one was closer than you thought. I really think the only game that wasn't fantastic was Hookline versus We Got Ice, just because for some reason We Got Ice never got going.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but
yeah.
it was disheartening to see. I really like them. Baggage versus Lovias. See, now this time it's the other way around. Deceptively close score, but it was a blowout.
It was a blowout. Another one of the second game of the tournament where the other team hasn't had to bat.
Yeah, and who was in that first game?
Who was in that first
game?
Remember? Del Caribe?
Del Caribe versus Lovias.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Like, that looks like a good strategy. I'll do that. Let me try that out.
Yeah. Oh, I never considered that.
That's smart.
And then in the final game, calling this final game a blowout is almost taking away a lot of credit that McFlurry deserves because they executed really good strategy. In the first over where they kept like almost intentionally throwing wides to get them to run in the first inning.
Yeah.
Almost put them behind like for good. Lou had 13 no balls thrown against him.
That is
nuts.
Like
I'm sorry, he had 13 runs off of no balls.
Mm-hmm.
And they were running because they were just trying to steal runs. 32 runs scored by hits, and in the first over, Lou only faced 7 good balls.
Which is by
So,
design.
which was by design. He more than doubled that in the second inning, but it really showed like how they were neutralizing Lou.
Yeah. Had a plan of
Because
attack and they executed.
Lou's game, we'll get into this more when we talk about Del Caribe versus McFlurry. But Lou's game is very dot ball heavy. It's boom or bust,
Yeah.
essentially. Like he'll either hit a 6 or he'll hit a dot or 4 or dot. He very rarely does Lou get a hit that isn't a boundary in
Right.
some
So he just,
capacity.
even if he has a ground ball, he hits it so hard it usually snakes through.
Right. And knowing this, knowing that he was the MVP of the last tournament, and
Had a bad time in Captain's League with all the pop-ups, and he fixed that.
but he is fantastic. Lou is fantastic on both sides. Like I wouldn't be surprised if you hear people, even us, talking about him for MVP. I don't think he's going to win MVP again, but I think he's definitely in the
Oh
conversation.
yeah, for sure. He's hurt by getting knocked out,
Right.
but
But he's one of those guys where if he hits a ball and it's like, oh, we could get 1 run off of this, it's like,
let's wait.
1 run now versus probably 4 or 6 next ball. Let's wait. So he's very dot ball heavy, and McFlurry was using that to their advantage. It was like, okay, we'll keep Lou up. We'll throw some wides, get Lou to run a little bit,
Make
get
him
the
want
less
to chase
dangerous
a little
guy
bit here
there.
and there.
Yeah. And then when Lou figures it out and he just stands there, we're just going to like hope to get dots. And they were able to use this strategy for a full over.
Yeah.
That's incredible because Aaron never got it going.
And then put the pressure on with the humongous second inning, obviously. But yeah, like you said, we'll talk about it more in depth when we get to that last game. We're covering all 4 games.
We're probably going to talk about that game the most.
Yeah, that's a big one. That was the big surprise, I think, to a lot of people.
Yeah.
This first game was also a kind of a surprise as well.
I would say all of them but one.
I was surprised. The whole time I was watching all 4 of these, I was like, whoa.
I'm so surprised. Hi.
I was like, well,
wait a second.
Take it easy, TV.
Whoa.
It's crazy.
I don't know. What's going on?
Fun fact for you, I watched the most recent 3 games this morning. That's how far behind I was. I haven't seen any of them, except for
Probably
Rock.
good. That means they're fresh in your head. I watched them like when they came out.
I watched them fucking weeks ago. You got early access.
Watched them fucking weeks ago.
Spoiler alert, I don't really have burns for these because I was very busy, as always, catching up on these, but we are going to do a version of that.
Behind the scenes a little bit. Do you have a burn for any of them?
Once it was 10:45 and I got the beginning done of Rotten vs. Wugas. So what I do sometimes is I will write like an outline. I'll say like step by step, play by play, like what happens, then sprinkle in jokes. And I got as far as halfway through the first one, and it was just Rotten kept Wugas under 30, but Jimmy Norp, and then there's nothing after that.
Nice.
As far as I got.
You know what you should have done at 10:45 when you realized this? Mm-hmm. You should have finished writing just the first burn, made no mention that there's no other burns, and then just done them all the way you're going to do them.
Okay.
So the first one was a full burn, and then the other 3 weren't.
Like, Brennan really ran out of steam the rest of the time.
Oh, man. I don't know. I think I like the first one better than these other 3. Okay, so also, we should probably mention this again. Just like last episode, this is very much a catch-up episode. We're doing all 4 games of the playoffs in one. I'm sure you gathered that by this point. After this, we will be going back to our normal, like, 1 episode, 1 game a day format. Like we said last episode, life got in the way. What was it? We were going to record on Thursday, and then we were just like, it's kind of silly to do 3 playoff games and then one, so we'll just do this whole round in one.
Yeah, and I think we'll probably do the same.
We apologize. Yes.
And then
wait, what? You want to do the semifinals in one episode?
Potentially. I wasn't sure if that's what we said over text, but I mean, that at least is just 2 games.
Well, that means I just lied to everybody. So, whatever. You'll see what our format is. It'll be good.
It'll be
good. But yes, we're sorry about that. But please enjoy the
Please
Musical
enjoy.
stylings of Brendan Rupples Burns,
Oh boy, here we go.
Brandon Rample.
Barney Marples. It's Rotten versus Woogas, and Shelfie starts in the mound and pitches a bunch and bowls the ball, and him, Panic, and Trevor keep Woogas under 30. That's what I said before. Then, what comes up next? This is hard to do, Peter. I might
you got it.
fully ditch this.
No, don't ditch it.
Okay, here we go.
Don't ditch it.
Then,
Power through.
I can't do it. I can't do it.
No, do it.
Ending it. That's it.
No.
It's just going to be me stuttering. Fully stuttering.
And then
then,
game was over.
And then that's how the cookie crumbles. Yeah. So.
Good burn.
Good burn.
Probably your best one yet. We saw kind of a theme leading up to this, and I looked into it a little bit. Or maybe it was throughout the entire playoffs. We saw this theme of relatively low first inning scores.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's something that maybe Lovias recognize, and we'll talk about that later, because I believe they were the only ones who won the toss and elected to bowl first.
Mm-hmm.
But let me just read this off to you, Brendy. First playoff game. I'm sorry, last game before the playoffs. First inning score 20, right?
Okay.
Then 25, then 30, and then Baggage versus Lovia, 20 again. Granted, that's because they didn't have, even 2 full overs.
Right.
And then in the fourth playoff game, 33 runs in the first over. So I'm going to be interested to see if anybody takes that into account in determining if they should bowl or bat first, because it seems like, to me, these teams are all having trouble off the blocks to get going.
Sure. So something that they're putting into account when they're picking whether or not they want to strike first. We see most teams do opt to strike first to put pressure on, but I guess it also plays the same game if you go the other route and you hold them to a low score. That also puts a ton of pressure on.
Now, granted, in this game, batting first won.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have, that 25 is low for this sport.
Mm-hmm.
They finished with a wicket to get out. So they didn't bowl a complete 3, but neither did Forgotten Rotten, and they really didn't do that well at all because they bowled 2 complete overs plus 2 balls, so 1 more ball than Woogas had in the third over, and still only scored 17 runs.
Yeah, sometimes it's even more demoralizing when you hold the other team to 25 and then you're only able to put up 17. That makes you feel like shit the rest of the game. Like, oh man,
right.
we did what we wanted to do with them defensively. Oh, but they hit us even harder with their defense.
Right. Now, an interesting thing here is we talk a lot about Sanjay as a great bowler, fantastic bowler in this on this team. Have you looked at the economy rankings that I put together after all the playoff games?
Let's take a look at it now. I feel like he's probably not even that high on the economy rankings.
I have it highlighted, so you'll see it right away.
He is... Yeah, he's right in the middle there, 15.41.
Is it the middle? Because you have to also consider all these. The seven
that's true.
Guys who have never bowled.
Yeah, so he's pretty far down there.
He's 18 out of 25.
Right.
Jimmy has been slowly climbing, where I feel like now that Jimmy has the hang of bowling.
Yeah, so I guess your color code of okay is kind of the
it threw me off too at first.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to change that once the tournament is over. Once we guarantee that those guys are never bowling.
Yeah.
But Shelfie does a good job bowling. Pennick gets kind of touched up because that's when Jimmy and Luke start to remember how to do this.
Right. I want to say Sanjay tricked us almost with coming on the scene so hot that when he got touched up a little bit in the later games, but I remember him being so crazy good. I mean, even in that first game, I think after the first inning when he shocked everyone, he got hit around a little bit once they figured out how to swing at him.
Once they figured out his tell.
Yeah, exactly. Never really recovered from that.
Trev does the tricky run out of Luke, which some people did not like.
So, where do you stand on that?
I don't care. It's
Yeah.
fun.
I think it's
It's
like
fun.
I think maybe someone said it in the broadcast, but it's just such a cricket person thing. If you grew up watching cricket, you probably would hate it.
Right.
I guess depending on where you're from, like they're saying. But as a baseball fan, I think it's fun and cheeky. It's which is why Trev I think is down for. He's like, I don't care,
Yeah.
whatever we got to do to to win the ball game.
I
I'm
think
going to
I
do it.
do think that what they Jack Meacher says it in the post game for Del Caribe versus We Got Ice. He's led. This isn't cricket, so
Right. So go
why
for
should
it.
we care about that? I think if it's a pro getting run out like that, they're going to be a little more heated than anybody else, or like the
Yeah.
two
Yeah.
guys, the three guys who run the cricket content
Or like
channels.
any sort of pro on pro or like cricket guy versus
Right.
cricket guy.
But it's not cricket. It is warehouse, and to be honest, it is for entertainment. I don't think it would be
Yeah.
as entertaining from him to be like, "Oh, I could get you right now."
Yeah, and him doing what he
I
did,
think it's a
it's
lot
like
more
getting
entertaining.
him and then saying, "I don't care," than getting that what was
Not to mention,
whatever he says.
in the first tournament, didn't Luke do the same thing to somebody?
We've definitely seen it before.
Luke, it was Luke.
What
It
would you
was
compare
Luke
this
who
to?
did
Is
it.
this like I guess like a baseball hidden ball trick sort of, but that just
Hidden
doesn't
ball
happen
trick.
that
That's
often.
exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hidden
But when
ball
that
trick.
happens, it's kind of exciting because it is like had they pull
Yeah.
that one on him.
So he does that, and then Karma comes back to get him. The cricket Karma gods
The cricket
come
karma
back to
god.
get them. Like we said before, they only get 17. They don't even finish their third over,
Yeah.
just like Wugas did, and then it only went downhill from there. Second inning, everybody but Trev was like really, really struggling to get through. So Pennick and Shelfie allowed, what is this, almost
58?
60 more runs. Yeah, 58 runs. Well, almost 58 runs because Trev let up a couple. I think Trev let up 8 of those runs.
Okay.
I'm sorry, 9 of those runs. So these two together gave like 20 each.
Yeah.
So let me see. Playoffs won.
He's a 49 split between the two of them. I mean, it's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you get down.
23 and 25.
You're down
So-
25 to 17, and then the other team puts up like 60. Basically, is like, oh, so I thought this was gonna be like a low scoring game, and then they just
Yikes.
took advantage of pinning us down. And while they pinned us down,
Right.
they put up a big number. Now that puts even more pressure and makes it feel like an insurmountable mountain they have to climb.
Yeah. And like I said, it did get to a point where it felt like what Rotten needed was essentially 20 runs per over on average.
Mm-hmm.
They get damn close. They get an average of 17 runs per over. It's the first over really that kills them because they only got 12, because then they got 23 and 17. So they were very, very close.
It's
to
that
coming
first over.
back. It was shockingly close.
If you have two of these
If you-
innings, like identical innings, then you're sitting pretty here.
Yeah.
But you
It
had
was
that
shockingly
117.
close. Like I said before, the final score really doesn't tell you just how close this game was, because the first over of the second, 12 runs, not fantastic. Sanjay does a good job getting dots. Then Calvin and Trev wake up in the second over and the third over.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
at that point,
too late.
it was too late. So the game was very close. Great job by all teams. Sanjay gets another magic hole. At this point, I think it's going to be impossible for anybody to catch him on the most magic holes in the tournament.
But that also
He-
that could tell you why he has such a high economy, because Magic Hole is in
he's
the middle
throwing
of the
it right
plate.
down the middle.
That's right where it
Yeah.
is. So
But
that's something. But
Rotten
it's dangerous.
loses.
It's dangerous to have that
Rotten's
skill
out.
still. Rotten's out. I was surprised by this, but Wuga shows up, especially Jimmy Norp. Like Jimmy Norp, we saw this in Blitzball Battle, how quickly he became accustomed to the warehouse and just got good at a sport that, sure, he's a wiffle ball player, and Blitzball's another version of that. So it makes sense that those skills would translate, but they don't always. We were surprised with how immediately good he was there. This sport, he maybe took like a game to fully figure it out, and now we're in his third game of ball and play ever, and he's taking over the tournament right now.
yeah,
Jimmy
I
Norp.
mean, it was
Jimmy Norp.
shocking to me.
What a
This whole thing was
a
shocking
franchise
because
leader.
I thought at one point, and I don't remember if we talked about this on a recording or just on through text. At one point, I thought, "Hey, Rotten could win this whole thing." They looked
Yeah.
really, really good. Like they looked more
Me and you
than
both agreed with
just.
that.
So, sorry, losers.
Losers, losers.
Go ahead, Brendan. Burn the second game now.
Here you go. Let's see.
Bam.
It's our jams, Hook, Line, Sinkers versus We Got Ice, and they beat the living shit out of We Got Ice. Losers, losers. It's true.
My number one note, and I'm sure you saw this. My number one note in my notes page was Mo might be having the most fun out of all of the pros in this tournament. I really like Mo a lot.
He's the one that got the shirt, right? He got the MOHO, or no,
Mozo.
Mozo. Which came from the Talking Yanks Soto chant.
And now, Yoendris Gomez, right?
Yogo?
I heard that on there the other day. Why?
Y-O-G. Yogo. Their favorite nickname for a player. No, yeah. I was rooting for him. He was their big chance at overcoming hook, line, sinkers.
Mo?
Yeah, but also, I mean, we'll get there later in the tournament, in the game recap. But Jack and Zoe staying on strike for too long without Mozo coming in was their big downfall. But that's strategy. That's strategy by hook line.
That's strategy, Brendan.
That's strategy, baby. But what a fun player to be out there. It's a big hat.
Fun player.
The big hat. Changes it from forward to backward. Plays better with it on, obviously. Weirdly, I think pitches with it backwards, but hits with it forwards. The opposite Ken Griffey style.
He is a lot of fun.
He is.
So let's be honest here. Hook line first. Bats first. Their big batter is Jolly. Always has been, right? He bowls the whole first. He strikes the whole first over.
Mm-hmm.
And he scores 23 runs in that first over.
Mm-hmm. Does Jolly things.
Then, obviously, you flip for the second over. Jay is up. He gets dotted. And then Jolly makes a huge base running mistake that I think, at the time, I thought hook line was going to lose. I was like, that is it. Jolly running like that is going to be the cause of hook line not repeating and We Got Ice winning. Because remember, last year, We Got Ice was fantastic.
Right.
By the end of it, we thought that they could have won the whole thing.
Right.
They just got, Joe's McFlyed to lose at the end of the last tournament. That was the game where Joe's became Mariano Rivera.
Yes.
Mariano Joe's Rivera.
Oh, very smooth.
Baby. He gets run out because Jay hits the ball right back at Mo, and Jolly's just fucking gone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something we're going to talk about more in the next game, where base running got a little bit too aggressive in the playoffs, I think.
Yeah. I'm sure that team would admit that too.
Where I legitimately at this point thought they need big games from Drew, who texted us afterwards and told us he was sick during his game, which we found out.
Which I'm not sure had too much effect, because I understand why he was hitting the way he was in this game, because it's just I've only played slow pitch softball a couple times, and when I do, I can't hit that ball for shit, and that's what Mozo was giving Drew, was those high slow ones, and they're so hard to time up and so hard to get a good launch angle on them, especially in this sport where you need to hit them line drives. If you hit them up in the air at all, you're dead, and that's what you induce when you throw those balls, he's up and in and on a crazy downward trajectory. So I mean, just hard to adjust to. So I don't blame you at all.
It's hard to adjust to.
Yeah, especially when you're sick as a dog.
Especially when you're a zigzagoon.
Mustache still looks good though.
But yeah, Jolly had 23 runs in the first over. 7 total runs in the next two overs.
Yeah, so you said 23. I was like, this inning ended at 30. That's nuts.
Well, Zoe also made the comment. He goes 7 fucking runs in 2 overs.
Yeah, that is crazy.
And I was like, when he said that, I was like, there's no way that could be true. And I went into my runs per over sheet, and I was like, oh my god,
a crazy momentum shift. I mean, you start off the first over with a big inning from Jolly, and this just shows you how important it is to wicket out a team's big striker.
Right. And I mean, we talk about hook line is their real strength is the fact that they have two guys who are big hitters.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. I just did this for the runs.
Yeah, the runs.
I got them, dude. Jolly has about 49% of the runs scored for hook line total. And then next is Jay with about 22, 23% of the runs. So, and they have 236 total scores. So Jolly has almost 50% of those 236 runs. Jay has about 23. So you have those two guys on bat who are putting up numbers. You also have BBD and Jay in the top 11, and BBD is only off of the top 10 by 0.05 for economy.
Mm-hmm.
You got this team is like perfectly balanced. They've still never had a third bowler bowl,
which is insane.
So we'll see if that is going to be if that's going to work for them, or if that's going to factor in the future.
It gets to the point where they've had options in other games too, where they're like, BBD and Jay were both golden bowlers. Who do we go with? And they've in the past have just gone with Jay, because BBD lately has been giving up more runs overall. But it's nice. That's a nice thing to have. Like, oh, two golden bowlers. Who has the hot hand right now? Let's go with that one.
Right. Well, I mean, it's also like BBD in this tournament has yet to throw a no ball, a wide.
Yeah.
Which is insane to think about. I wrote to BBD about this after the last game, not this one, the one before. I go, you haven't thrown a no ball. That's pretty crazy. And he goes, there's no way he could keep it up, right?
You little shit.
And I was like, uh-oh.
You say you don't think he talks dirty over text? What? That seems like it's a little bit of a sexual response.
We know from the group chats that we do with him that he talks dirty.
Real dirty.
we do. He talks dirty to
filthy.
Us.
Yeah.
But it could also be a case of like he doesn't actually real life talk dirty. Because I'll do that if I'm texting like some of our buddies from college. I'll do that, especially with like Richie Henderson.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do that with him. And then meanwhile, texting my wife, I would never dare.
I would never talk to her dirty.
I would never.
You leave that to me.
I'm a clean boy. I'm squeaky clean. But
I love you, honey. Sorry, too dirty. Too dirty.
We go into it, right? They start to bat themselves, and it's like, okay, hook line only put up 30. Now's our time to like really blow them out. Let's a 50. 50 would be ideal here. And they only get up 8.
Yeah, even in 30 is not like awful, but it's just like we said, when you start off the first over with 23, like, oh, it's a good blood out of the water. So you feel great keeping it to 30, but that's still, I think that's right in the range that you don't feel awful about it, but you don't feel great about it either. It's right down the middle. It gives you a chance no matter, even if the other team has a bigger inning than you're like, all right, well, we didn't get stuck in the teens. No matter what, if they put up 55, we still have a chance. And but they kept it 38. It's the game's right there.
Right. This is where we see Mozo go for it.
M-O-Z-O.
Mozo. They go for it. Mo really is like getting into it. Mo did great this game. 37 runs total scored off of hits. Zoe doesn't do that much, and it's almost like we're back to seeing timid Zoe, because it didn't really seem like he was going for it. It kind of looked like he was just continuing to try and get Mo back on strike.
Yeah, I felt like, and it may not be true, but it felt like he was focusing so much on trying to get him back up that he wasn't worrying about what he was doing himself.
Yeah, exactly. So they only get 38. BBD gets Zoe to run out because Mo hits the ball right back to him, and then they run for 3, which is fun. BBD showing to be very timid as a wicket keeper. He doesn't like to throw the ball a lot. Jay yelled at him at one point. I'm certain that will be fixed by the next game. But
which part, like the confidence in throwing for a wicket?
Sorry?
Which part do you think is going to change? Like BBD feeling more confident to throw out for a wicket?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to hold on to the ball as much as he was.
I understand the inkling, like the wants to stop, because like it's. I guess in that particular play that he got yelled at, he was probably close enough. He wouldn't have missed the strike zone.
Hey,
But
what are you doing? What are you
is that your
doing?
Jay impression?
That's my Jay impression.
Yeah,
Sounded like he was in the chat.
it sounded like that's what I thought. I didn't see anybody enter this Discord, but
Jay,
I think
where are you?
you don't want to get too aggressive being a defensive team though too, because if you just throw the ball around like crazy, it feels sloppy. But I guess it's different than baseball where there's not that much more damage that can be done off of missing the wickets. It's just what are you gonna get? They're gonna get one more run on you if you throw it wide. I don't know.
Yeah.
So maybe
No,
just
I get you.
make the play. I guess I'm with Jay.
Yeah, you motherfucker.
You motherfucker, PB, you fucking throw that ball. I swear to God.
Hook line comes back big in the second inning, scoring 52 runs,
It's big.
which is what they needed.
This is the second game in a row we've seen this sort of thing where both teams kind of keep quiet in the first, and then the one that comes up next to start the second is like, you know what? Big inning.
Well, but not only that, this is the second hook line game in a row, or third hook line game in a row, where it's like just, okay, the first inning is practice, and the second inning, we do what we need to do to win.
Mm-hmm.
Second time we saw this, or third time we saw this from hook line, where they get their 52, and it's like, hey, only one guy is going on We Got Ice right now, and he's not even batting because he didn't get wicketed out. So if we don't get any wickets, it's just Jack, who has not been doing very well this tournament, and Zoe, who is only really concerned with the other guy. And Zoe picks up on this eventually, and he gets himself to run out in the second over to get Mo back in. But Mo is only limited to 5 balls at this point.
Right.
And it's not enough to get back. They have, 15 runs to win? Mo didn't come in. Like, not when Mo came in, but
he came in at the end of the second over.
Right, at the end. And then Mo eventually gets a wicket, popped up, caught by Jolly, which is massive for hook line because that's sealed the win for them.
Yep.
And then in the end, they didn't get enough runs. Hook line wins 82-67.
Yeah, it's just a beast of a team. And they didn't even have to go to their biggest strength, which is death bowling. They're just like, well, we're actually up enough, and we kept them off the boards.
Right.
More dot balls than they usually bowl. Jay's looking better and better as a bowler, by the way. I mean, his striking is like decent. It's not top tier at all, but he can get the job done, and he's good at least putting the bat in his teammates' hands and not really getting wicketed out. But his bowling has definitely gotten better. He seems really confident up there as a bowler.
But We Got Ice. Loser, loser, loser.
loser, loser, loser. Good shit.
I like how we're focusing on the negatives instead of the positives.
That's what happens.
Pretty
when,
good.
We take a big break and we forget where our morals stand.
We're
bad guys now.
Loser. Bad guys. Bad guys. Speaking of bad guys.
Billie Eilish, new good album.
Billie Eilish rhymes with baggage. Let's go, Brennan, burn it.
Here we go.
Bam.
Baggage versus Lovias, and Baggage has been the biggest disappointment as far as franchises in the warehouse goes, and they continue to do that. They are the Mets of the warehouse.
Oh my God.
No points on the board in this warehouse cup. They might get shut out and get the skunk patch. They're losers yet again. Peter Moreland takes Lovias to a 62-60 victory. We're heels.
Heels.
We're heels of the media
You're
world.
a heel. You're a heel.
You're the one that started the loser chance. I'm just following you.
You're the one who continued it.
That's true. You asked me. You've been begging me to stop over text.
Yeah, I've been begging you, Brennan, please.
Please stop. You're scaring me.
So we teased this a little before, Brendan, in the last one. Baggage was their own worst enemy in this game.
Yeah.
Jolly getting run out was a big detriment to Hookline that I thought could have made them lose the whole thing. Jake and Jimmy both being too aggressive on the base paths in this first inning allowed them to not even finish 2 overs. Like you could see in my notes. First ball, big 6 to start. That's huge. Second ball for Jake.
That was the high point of
Jake
the whole,
was
the whole game.
Unnecessarily risky here, or maybe some miscommunication with Rob. But he gets run out on a very playable ball as Hamad makes a great throw.
Yeah,
Jake has been probably their best striker this tournament? Let me check. Jake. Yeah, by a lot. He has 40, almost 45% of their total runs comes from Jake.
Makes
Getting Jake
sense.
out in the second ball of the first
Yeah.
over was
Yeah.
massive for Lovias.
It's
Didn't
huge.
even allow him to work.
It's getting their best striker out, and it's getting an early wicket and putting pressure on.
Right. Because then you have Jimmy coming in. Jimmy usually only hits ones. Jimmy likes to run a lot. He does another risky run on the fourth ball of the over. I thought that he was going to get run out, but Moylan bobbled it. Wasn't able to turn around and get him. Rob comes up. He's been kind of, after his great regular season in ball and play, kind of not what we were expecting from him
Yeah.
to start. And then eventually in the second over, Rob pops up. Dalton catches it. They score 20 runs in 1 over and 4 good balls.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
the only reason they have 20, really, in my opinion, is that Hamad and Moylan give up, how many is this? 5 runs off of wides. So they're really only scoring 15 in the first inning.
Yeah, without them
That's
giving
not what you
those-
need to win.
Yeah,
no matter
absolutely.
how bad Lovias has been, or how unlucky, I should say, Lovias has been in this tournament. You can't do this because you still have Hamad and Dalton, who do great on strike.
Yeah.
And then you have Nikki, who's, I don't know if you know this,
Crazy
the
bowler.
leader in economy
Yeah.
bowling, and who's in fourth? Peter Moylan.
Yeah, Peter Moylan
This is
came
after
into the
the
tournament after the first game. They're like, "Oh, this is the best bowler." Just kidding. Nicky's actually better, but Peter's still up there in the top 5.
Yeah.
We also have this team of Lovias. Like you said, they were kind of hot and cold. They had a really bad game and a couple really good games. Coming after last tournament, we're a pretty bad team. So they're showing you that
Pretty
they do
bad.
have potential. This team now has the best numbers as far as defensive run save goes too. So they're also just a crazy defensive team, especially with Dalton back there being consistently one of the better defenders. So
Yeah.
and we see that with him and Hamad nasty with those ground balls. Like of course, like maybe Baggage was being a little too aggressive also, but these guys are playing those ground balls really, really well. Like able to to catch those and get a hand on it and be able to accurately throw it at the wicket is, they did a really
Right.
good job. Like especially the one that Haman had, it was like he had to get on one knee, collect it, toss it over there quickly, and it's just that little bit of indecision from a runner standpoint. If you like, I think was it Jay that said it to Hookline? Like, I don't care what you do, just make a decision either way.
Pennick.
Panic. Okay, but yeah, that's a really important mindset to have, and I think
Yep.
especially Jake, I think when he runs, he's like, "Oh shit, I gotta go," and that sort of thing is what runs you out, especially against a team like Lovey's with Dalton and Hamad back there.
Right. It was kind of crazy because, like, if I'm being honest, I never really trusted this Baggage team to go very far.
They haven't given us
I
much,
thought-
especially like we said
No.
with Father Shea needs to step up, and he never did.
He never did. He never did. He got eliminated, and his striking is still 31st out of 32 players
Yeah,
in terms of runs
was
scored
lowest
versus
standard
balls
work.
faced or runs scored period. Balls for good balls and for no balls. Last place or second to last place.
Oh, Moylan,
Only ahead
yeah.
of Moylan.
Yeah.
Who, as you said, is very much a
pitcher only.
bowler first guy.
Yeah,
They come out and score a ridiculous 62 runs in the first inning. Lovias does. 62 runs is crazy.
yeah.
That's a 33 plus 1 no ball for Hamad, 18 from Dalton.
This is one of the other problems too
and
with
then
this
te-
team is
10
a
from Nicky.
bowler like Jimmy, who's supposed to come in here and be one of the better economy bowlers, gets lit up, absolutely lit up. You right over there? You just get
You ever,
punched.
like, turn your neck the wrong way and then it just pinches?
Ooh. Yikes.
Where then you have to do like, oh.
I didn't see what happened. I was looking down at your Google sheet here, and I look up and your face down on the desk.
No, it's literally like I turned this way and I got the kook and then
Ooh, yeah, yeah. I get that sometimes with my neck from driving too much.
Please visit my GoFundMe. Help me out.
Help me out. Help me out.
62 runs is stupid. So stupid. Hamad was pulling out every trick in the book. He didn't need that. He didn't need any period to shake off the rust to get back into the swing of things.
Rest in peace,
Hamad, I
Rusty. We miss
think.
you.
We wish you. Hamad, I think, is the pro that has impressed me the most this tournament. It seems as though he took this. He's the Jay of last tournament. Because we saw
He
Jay
really
was
gets
the
in Shay's
first
face
guy.
with the shit talk, too. Would love it.
I know. What? In Shay's face.
Shay's face, yeah.
I said Jay before.
Yeah, I'm just saying in this game, like he really gets in
okay.
there and is like, I love how much the cricketers were shit talking each other, especially like we've seen it from the beginning that everyone, like I guess Shay is maybe one of the better cricketers in real life, so they love just like shit talking him and making sure he stays down and stays the worst player as far as cricketers go in the warehouse.
Which I looked it up. He is like apparently a very, very good cricket player.
Too good of a cricketer.
He's a wicket keeper.
Doesn't translate. Okay.
You know that? He's a wicket keeper. So they were like cursing each other out, I think, in like Urdu or something. And
Nicky's like, they're talking their own language. I don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
These guys are fucking yelling at each other. I have no clue what they're saying.
Hamad's on the offensive because I mean Shay has no leg to stand on. He's like, I guess I just got to take the shit talk because I can't.
Like Jay though, in the last tournament, who we saw him and we said he's the one who took it seriously before everybody else. Eventually, everybody like took it really seriously. Jay took it most seriously from the beginning.
And he's consistent with
That's what we're seeing Hamad do.
Yeah.
Because Hamad and Muhammad both said they were going out and practicing, essentially, before games. And you see how well that carried over because we said before, Hamad in the last game was fantastic. I mean, Muhammad in the last game, Mo in the last game was fantastic. Hamad in this game was fantastic. Mm-hmm. It's looking to be the point. You're at the point in the tournament where everybody left is good.
Right.
And it's going to be whose pro is better is, I think, going to be the difference.
Yeah, which cricketer has figured out more of a baseball swing to hit the ball forward and not pop it up? I think that's the key.
Right.
We're seeing Shea consistently hit those up and in balls like directly behind him, or like what would be like a deep foul ball pop up in baseball. He just has not been able to figure out how to drive it, line drive forward yet, and that's why this team gets out. On top of the fact that their bowling has been getting touched up like crazy.
Well, not to mention, Hamad gets 9 balls before he gets wicketed out. 7 hits, 33 runs scored. And I even wrote in my notes in the second over when Jimmy goes against him. At this point, he has, 22 runs scored in the second over against Jimmy. Catch by Rob to get a big wicket on this dangerous man. And then in parentheses, but I also think this is way too late.
Yeah.
And it was. It was way too late. He scored more than half of the runs scored in this inning.
Yeah.
In this, half inning. They go through, they're able to get up to 62. Baggage needs 42 just to tie. Kelsey talks to Jake. Jake, what's your plan here? And Jake says, take the lead. It's the only way we'll have a chance.
They don't even get there.
They don't even get there.
They're bad on both sides of the ball. The economies for that inning of bowling for Baggage, Shea had an economy of 20, and then Jimmy had an economy of 21, and he pitched 2 overs. So that's 42 and 20 gives you the 62. That's 3 consistently bad outings from bowlers.
Right, because I think at this point, as I'm entering in these complete over scores to get an average runs per over, I want to say it's been like 4 games or so where the full number hasn't changed, and it's only just the percentage, the decimal places after. 13, somewhere between 13 and 14 runs has been what the average is.
Okay.
So if you round it up, 13 or 14 runs per over, because you obviously can't get half a run.
You going to make an economy plus stat?
Oh, I don't know.
I like it.
Maybe.
It's a lot of work.
Because I'm only keeping this for full overs.
Yeah.
I'm not keeping this for partial overs. 13 or 14 runs is the average. So in my mind, your target has to be either above that or below that. Is it brought down by some outliers, like in the last game where we had an over? There's 3 runs scored and 4 runs scored, and is there an outlier where there's 31 runs scored at one point by Baggage? Yeah. for sure. But on the whole, I think
Magical.
I have what? A lot of fucking. We have almost. Oh, good. We have almost 150 overs
A lot of data.
to base this data off of. You know,
Yes,
like
I say it's pretty
what?
honed in.
It's pretty honed in, baby. It's pretty honed in.
Pretty honed in.
Uh, we have 117 complete overs at
Okay.
this point to base this off of. I think that's enough to say, okay, 13 or 14 runs is the average for this tournament. Unless, watch, semifinal 1 and 2, it's going to be 50 runs per over. And
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys.
I mean, we're seeing like the middle of the pack is around like the average economy is around the 13s. Like the upper echelon of the middle pack is Penix sitting at 13 economy right there. And then once you get into the top third, you get into the 12s.
Right. So just to put this into perspective, the average is 13 or 14. 14 times 3 for the 3 overs. So if you're scoring bang average for these 3 overs is 42 runs.
Seems like a lot.
It seems like a lot, but it also all it does is tie the game. So you now are asking Baggage to do this amazing feat of getting over the average every over by a lot to get a lead that puts you in position to win.
Right.
Because if you go into the second half of the second inning and you are tied, what happens? Jimmy comes up, he throws one wide, and then we see a man die on the mound again.
Yeah.
So we don't even need to talk about the bottom of the second. They didn't do it. They did not score enough runs.
And even if they did, like
14.
kind of like what Kelsey's trying to say to Jake, is like, I understand what Jake's saying is like we just need to get ahead a little bit, and crazier things have happened. But even if you get ahead like just a handful of runs, you need to get extremely lucky to start. Like sure, once you get a wicket on the other team, the pressure starts to build, but they easily could have Lovey's could have put up a few runs without before recording a wicket. They would have just maybe hit ground balls and traded places.
Here's the thing, right? They start to be on a good track of the first over, they score 13. Second over, they score 25. And it's like, oh, this could really, they could do this. Over 3, Nicky Bowling. Dot 1. Jimmy gets run out. 0. Dot. Magic hole. 1.
Like, oh, this is over now.
2 runs. And then the game ends.
Yeah.
They could have gone into the second half of the second inning. They scored 2 runs off of 6 good balls.
And I think they would have needed like more than 10 runs of a lead to feel like we have a slim chance. I think if they were in single digits, they would have been like, well, let's just hope.
Good game.
Pray we start off the inning with a wicket. But
not the craziest thing in the world. They just had 2 put up on them, so it's definitely doable. But
it was a long shot.
It was a long shot.
It was a long shot.
It was a long shot. The longest shot. That's the Monster Mash for the kids. But Baggage loses 60-62. Lovey's doesn't bat twice. Baggage, loser.
Loser. So long, Baggage.
And now we go to the main
event.
In the blue corner.
The blue guys.
Coming from the Caribe. It's Del Caribe. In the red corner. Colors on purpose. Coming from the McDonald's ice cream machine. It's McFlurry Power.
We love them.
Burn it, Brendan.
Fake burn. It's Del Caribe versus McFlurry. Nice rhyme by me. And McFlurry just continues to be a powerhouse in these Warehouse Cup games. They realize that being bad in the regular season doesn't matter. You just got to be really good now. They decide to be Del Caribe for the day and put up big striking numbers and absolutely shut down this offensive powerhouse. Joes looks bad on the mound. Nobody gets hits. K-Mac is a captain.
Oh.
They win 92-61. There's a 6 and a 9 in the final score. I think that's intentional by McFlurry Power and K-Mac himself.
Looking like a K snack.
Ooh, yeah. The cape works.
Oh, I've used that before.
I think that's fine. That's what burns are all about. It's still within the burn window, so it counts. This game, I think, especially for K-Mac, it works for like silliness and props and stuff. Like we see the giant hat. K-Mac in Blitzball would take off the cape, I think, when he wants to get really serious. He doesn't need to do that in this sport. He leaves on the cape the whole time because I think he takes it a little bit less seriously because it's not his main. But with him being loose, he's able to play better and better throughout the tournament, and just like, oh, you know, if I just like kind of be myself, this is a good avenue for me to just be silly and good at the same time.
Right.
Very entertaining.
Very entertaining. What'd you say? Very exciting. Very dangerous.
Very dangerous.
They don't get to. I got confused here.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of understood it at the end. I don't think it was intentional, but they were talking about it as though it was. They don't bowl they don't strike 3 complete overs because Justin, after the 5th ball thrown in the 3rd over, Justin starts to walk back to the bench and Toby hits the wickets because he's off his line. They were talking about how Justin did that on purpose to start the next over on strike. I don't think that's what happened. I think it was just like, oh, he thought it was the 6th ball. Instead, it gets to be the 3rd wicket, and they finished the top of the 1st with 33 runs without getting a final ball to face.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I realized that.
It was weird. It was very weird because he started to walk back very much like, oh, I don't need to be alert anymore.
Uh-huh.
If he did it on purpose, he did a great job making it seem like it was not on purpose.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I don't know either. The casual nature of it worked on me. I didn't clock that.
What'd you say?
I didn't clock that at all. So his nonchalantness worked.
Yeah.
On me.
So we see Justin really go kind of nutty in this first inning. He scored a total of 44 runs in this game.
He's a McFlurry Power vet.
McFlurry, is he?
Well, I mean, like he's one of their veterans, like of the few people that have played here before.
I was like, he definitely wasn't on McFlurry Power last time. But yeah, K-Mac figures it out in the 2nd inning. But in this first inning, because K-Mac finishes with 38 runs, 3 on no balls. 38 runs plus 3 no balls. He only gets 3 balls in this first one. He scores 5. So it shows you how much he came back in that 2nd inning.
Right. Anyone that gives you like a 25-run inning, I feel like that's really strong because one player could give you 50 in a game at that pace. I love that. That's like a Lou Dab standard for me. That's what I think about it. It's like, he's the guy when I think of like someone hitting 50 in a game. Lou Dab can do that consistently, and that's like a good bar to set.
K-Mac is really figuring out these warehouse games.
I'm honestly a little surprised about how well he's done on strike because his swing is such a formula for disaster in this particular sport. So I'm amazed that he's found his lefty happy zone to just go for 6s and boundaries to the right side because everyone knows exactly where he's going to hit it. If he doesn't hit boundaries, he's going to pop up to the right side or ground ball to the right side. So that everyone plays him so stark pull. He's like, that's all right. I'm just going to hit over you guys.
Yeah. Great job by him coming back after this, but not in this first over. First over, exactly what you said. A ball looked like it was going to be a boundary. 4 runs, took a weird bounce off the side wall right into Toby's hands. Mm-hmm. And they go, Caribe.
I love the Caribe stuff. I love how much of like they know they're the team that's being rooted against. Toby going full heel is hilarious. What did he say? He's like, Del Caribe, I know no one likes us, but we don't care. We're gonna win anyway. Something like
Yeah.
that. He just continues to chant the Del Caribe chant the entire day. So he said he woke up with the song stuck in
Yep.
his head. I love the team chemistry that they have going on now. I felt like at the start of this game, they have to win. They just feel like they're running on all cylinders, and the energy is in such a good spot that how could they
Yeah.
not win?
Yeah. That's how I felt as well. And then they didn't.
Yeah, not
They
even
go,
close.
they go into the bottom of the first. They get a solid 40, which is incredible for them. I
Yeah,
mean, it's only up 7 to be fair, but it's also Del Caribe.
right.
So
You got a new game for the whole second inning, essentially.
new game for the whole second inning. And then what happens in the second inning? McFlurry Power, K-Mac and Justin bat the whole time. They put up 59 runs between the two of them because they are fully locked in at this point.
Beasts.
Joe's, I thought this game was over the second that Joe's threw his first wide in the first over. I said, shit, that's your best
Ew.
bowler right there.
Yeah.
And now he's gone because he threw a wide and he can't come back for the second inning, for a second over.
Yeah.
Lou comes in after that. He gives up 17 plus 2 wides. Then you have Aaron, who has been very good in this tournament. Aaron has been
He's
pretty
usually been their number two, right?
incredible.
Because Lou usually comes in as a third bowler, if anything. But he came in
Yeah,
for the second
Aaron
over.
let up 18 runs in almost 2 full overs because he had that 5-ball over in the first.
Yeah.
Only 18 runs is
A
very, very
lot of that
good.
damage was done in that Joe's over, who lets up like 20, high 20s.
53 runs allowed in 3 overs is very un-Joe's like.
Yeah.
But you had McFlurry Power do much better. Let me just read off these economy numbers for you.
Read him off.
Colin Stone, 16 runs allowed. We're not going to read the no balls because
But
the
did you
no
realize
balls
Colin Stone,
was a strategy.
I don't know if this is the first game he did it. It might have been, but he went overhand this game.
Yep. 16 runs allowed, 2 overs bowled. Jack Meacher, 13 runs allowed, 1 over bowled. Justin Dilla, 18 runs allowed, 2 overs bowled. And we're not including the runs allowed on no balls. Colin had 7, Jack had 3, Justin had 4, because they were a strategy that they used. Just on balls hit, all 3 of them were average or lower, which is all you could really ask.
Yeah.
Like, yes, they had those extra balls that go in there.
Like you're saying, if you
But-
keep them at that 42 run per inning pace, the 13
That's it.
per over.
You keep them at the 42
Yeah.
runs per inning pace, they do even better. They only allow 2 full overs because of their defense. You have this game. Oh, my God. I just read how this game ended, and I forgot about that. Toby kind of fucked the game, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
He fucked it big time.
It almost felt like they're like, shit, we're toast. Let me just run out. And
Yeah.
it
Joe's
was a
hits
very
the
sad
ball.
ending.
Joe's hits the ball into the ceiling. Toby takes off. Joe stays put. Justin collected it. Easy wicket. Game over. McFlurry Power wins 61-92
Big
decisively.
shocker. Big shocker.
Decisively. Big shocker. It's at the point now where I have no idea who's going to win this whole thing.
There's like any playoffs in any sport. It's crazy. Like you sometimes you feel so sure when you know a sport really well.
Yeah.
And then, but if you were like to fall asleep during the first round of any playoffs in any sport and just wake up a week later, be like, what the fuck just happened? How
Yeah.
did this? It never plays out how you think it's going to play out. There's always an underdog that comes through. And McFlurry Power, from where they started in the tournament, they started 0-2, didn't they?
Yeah.
I think the
So
second
did,
game they
Woogers
won
and
the really
Lovey.
close game, but like from where they started to where they are now, they've gone from worst team to powerhouse within a 3-game
No,
span.
Lovey's won a game. I got it wrong.
It's nuts, though.
But yeah.
They figured out so quickly. These guys have never been here before,
Never.
except for Justin.
They've never been here. But yeah, McFlurry Power wins. Del Caribe, loser.
loser.
But yeah,
Big props quickly. I don't think we're going to talk about him too much, but props to Jack Meacher also for like starting off really slow and figuring out both ends of the ball too.
Yep.
Remember the first game he's like, I can't do this. And then like I think by the very end of the first game, he had a couple boundaries, and then
Yes, he
he's
figured
taken
out
off since then.
quick.
But some of these new guys, it just shows you how big of a learning curve it is, and if you could defeat it early, then you're gonna
Yeah.
set yourself up for success later. And not to harp on it too much, but people like Shea just never got there, and other people put in work and did batting practice, and they're still here.
Yep, they're still here. Every team, very proud of you guys. Everybody, there was no team that was fully. 7 teams were not fully bad this tournament.
Mm-hmm.
The only one being We Got Ice. We talked about them a little bit, I think, before we started recording.
Right.
But
Everybody
they
felt
are the
competitive
only
all
team.
tournament long, though, for the most part.
Yeah,
You know,
they are the only team who, on average, has scored under 2 runs per ball faced
right.
out of all of the teams. They're the
By a
only
lot.
ones. Yeah, 1.67 runs scored per balls faced as a team. So it's upsetting because they were so good last time. I don't know what happened, but I
Yeah.
can't wait to see how they bounce back.
As far as potential goes, in this quarterfinal round, every team had a chance to win every game just going
Yep.
into each game.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fun tournament.
But Brendan, now we have to go into our player of the 4 game.
Player of the 4 games.
I should have just said player of the quarterfinals.
Want to run it back?
No.
Okay.
It's very Blitzball boys to say
Very
it's the
live energy
stupidest
today.
way possible.
Yeah. My player of the game.
Player of the 4 games.
My player of the quarterfinals. See?
No.
Punched you up.
No.
My player of the 4 games. All right, we got to stick to our guns here. There's a few good options because, again, there's 4 games, like Peter said, to pick from. We got to pick one player out of the entire league, essentially, because that covers everybody.
It is the entire league, yeah.
And there's one person that stood out to me the most, especially on both sides of the ball.
Wait, Brendan.
Yes.
What's something in common with you and this person and the color of shirts that you wear?
This shirt is yellow.
No, it's not.
That's the one issue.
Is it yellow?
It's yellow. It's like gold.
Oh, on video it comes up very
Okay,
orange.
so maybe it's a hint for you guys. This guy does not wear yellow. So does that help anybody? That knocks out one team.
I think I'm still going to go with Justin Pennick.
It's just emphatic. Jimmy Norp, he's a beast. He hits. He pitches.
There's no way that shirt's yellow.
It's. I'm telling you, it's yellow.
All right, take it off. Let me see.
Here we go. See, there's just some contrast for you. White, yellow. Jimmy Norp, he came into this tournament, and I said it earlier in this very episode. He's figured out hitting really early. The bowling came a little bit later. I think he realized he can't just kind of throw the ball over the plate. He needs to manipulate a little bit more and pick his spots better. In this very game, because we're talking about this whole round, Jimmy Norp, 6 dot balls in this game, 2 wickets, 27 runs allowed, and 2.33 overs bowled. I mean, so obviously he got out of an inning early with not 3 full overs bowled. The runs allowed over the course of those 2.33 overs puts you around like 11 economy or so. He just did it. He did it all over the place. And then as far as the striking numbers go, 15 balls faced, 9 hits, 4 boundaries, 4 sixes. When you have equal number of boundaries and sixes, and they're both, that's a lot. That's a lot of runs scored.
It is.
That's 6 times 4 is 24. 4 times 4, 16. That's 40. He's got 40 up there, and also is dominant on the mound as well. I mean, just so valuable.
I mean, a big thing too for Jimmy that we don't specifically talk about. We really just kind of keep this for stats purposes. But Jimmy allowing 5 boundaries or sixes as a bowler. Two boundaries, so 2 4 runs, and 3 sixes. 26 runs total. Of his 27 were off of boundaries, right? Mm-hmm. Sanjay, in 2 less balls, has 2 more boundaries or sixes allowed.
Yeah.
You know, Pennick in 2 less balls has 1 more boundary or 6 allowed. Shelfie, who we've talked about all tournament as being a great bowler. Melinda loves him as the death bowler, right?
Yes.
He, in 2 less balls thrown, has 2 more boundaries or 6s allowed. Jimmy is doing very well. Very good. Goodly. Jimmy's very googly.
Jimmy's googly.
Jimmy's googly moogly at keeping these boundaries down, or just letting him not fucking hit the ball.
Right.
He's getting lots of dots,
you mentioned
lots
to
of
me
wickets.
off air, like 6 dot balls. It's a lot
6
of dot
dot balls
balls.
crazy. In 2.33, in 2 full overs and 2 balls, 6 dot balls is kooky crazy.
Kooky crazy. Yeah, some other like honorable mentions from this game too, because it was hard for me to figure out who I wanted to name as my player of the game. I was also thinking of putting Luke in there because
Luke.
He got hurt. He still was wicket keeping. He made some plays even in the outfield to stop some dot balls, to stop some boundaries, keep him dot balls, and was absolutely raking once he pulled his hamstring, or no, his
Pulled his
his
ass.
quad. He pulled his ass in his quad. But he could not move, and it was still just like standing still like a statue and just raking 4s and 6s. Arguably hit better after he got hurt.
Yes.
So
I don't think it's
tenacity.
arguable.
Yeah.
I don't think it's arguable.
And it made sense too. They were saying in the booth, like, I wonder if this will help him because it'll slow him down a little bit. And he like confirmed that afterwards, like, yeah. I think it slowed me down and it helped me time it up a little bit better. Because with those balls and the bats, you don't need to hit them too hard. You just need to barrel them in order for them to go far.
Really fucking hard.
You need to swing as hard as you fucking can. Put your whole body into it. Yeah.
When I was a kid, this is what it reminded me. I was about to make the joke that Luke could have bunted the ball and it would have gone for 6 after his injury.
Is it Dan Rourke that puts out those videos?
Is that Dan Rourke?
The bunts that go for home runs?
Is it the bunts or the check swings?
Either are very funny.
They're so funny. But when I was a kid, when I'm saying kid, I mean like 3rd grade, maybe 4th grade. Mm-hmm. I told the kids, obviously being a joke, saying that Babe Ruth was so good he would be able to bunt the ball and it would go for a home run.
Right.
And everyone got mad at me. I was like, that's not true. That's not how that works. I was like, guys, are you fucking out of your mind?
Guys, you don't understand. I'm funny.
Yeah, guys, you don't get it. I'm a very funny guy.
You'll figure it out.
I'm making people laugh. I said, why are you doing an accent?
Just laugh.
And they beat the shit out of me.
And then they laughed like, this is funny.
Babe Ruth can't save you now, dork. Yep, Jimmy deserves it. Jimmy was great. Luke, honorable mention. Who's your second honorable mention, Brendan?
We had Jolly in there too.
Yep.
For also raking those. Sure. We talked about those 23 runs and the 1 over.
First over.
Nuts.
Yeah. Kooky. He's really, really good at hitting the ball and play.
He is.
Player of the 4 games.
Player of the 4 games.
We talked about it last time. Oh. We talked about it earlier. Sorry. We talked about it earlier. Lovies didn't win the game.
No.
Baggage lost the game.
Yes.
And my play of the 4 games is a rude one, but it's Jimmy getting himself run out the 4th ball of the 1st over of the game.
It's an important play.
Very important play. I think Baggage might have won this game if that didn't happen. Jake was already out at this point. Your main priority would have to be to keep everybody in, keep everybody playing. That is not what happened.
Yeah.
Oh, did I say the 4th ball of the over? He got run out in the 2nd over. I'm sorry. The first good ball of the 2nd over.
Okay.
Sorry. My mistake. But Jimmy getting run out here with Shea, who's been really underperforming on strike, and Rob, who's been underperforming on strike from what we know of him, is a huge turning point for Baggage. We saw in the 2nd inning when Baggage was hitting that Jimmy is capable of getting these big runs, getting these 4s. He had fucking 4 4s in a row against Moylan.
Yeah.
Who is still a top 5 bowler. I believe coming into this game, he was number one of bowlers who pitched more than one complete over.
Yeah,
Because Lou obviously had those 2 balls that he threw and had 0 run score, so we can't count that in
sure.
there. Jimmy had 4 fours in a row, and he kind of took that power away from Baggage in that second over. He gets run out immediately,
Yeah,
really.
and giving a team an early wicket like that early puts so
An
much
early
pressure on
second
yourself.
wicket,
Yeah,
you know? And then eventually they don't even get to finish the second over.
right.
Inning.
It's just
And
it's
it's
two mistakes. Like, pop ups in this sport aren't necessarily mistakes, but like you can control yourself from running out. So
yeah.
pop ups, like you're trying to hit, and of course you can avoid the pop ups if you have better back control. But I think you can get more angry at yourself and your team for running out than for wicketing off of a fly ball.
Yep. And that's really just it. Lovia's got such an advantage by Jimmy essentially switching off. A guy who we see, yes, Jimmy is historically aggressive running, but he's also cautious. He understands when's a good time to run, when it runs more than most people, but he also like runs safely more than most people. And this
Right.
one he just like shut off for a second and caused Baggage the game.
Yeah, they did it better in the second inning when they're like, well, we have to now run on wides every time. Like we got to leave early, score 2 in every wide. But they
Yeah.
put themselves in that position by fucking up in the first inning.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
sorry, Jimmy. That's a rude one, but it is what
We're
it
rude
is.
today. What are you gonna do?
Rude boys.
Rude boy.
BBD Memorial Defensive Player of the 4 games.
Bibbidi, bibbidi, beep, 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 bibbidi, bibbidi, beep, 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 bibbidi, 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 beep, 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 bibbidi, dee, 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 dee.
Wow.
Peter gets really into it every time. He gets
We
fucking pumped
talked
up.
about this. I believe, Brendan, correct me if I'm wrong, second week in a row for our defensive player of the 4 games.
It is.
Kyle McDonald
Woo!
coming into his own behind that wicket, being the wicket keeper that we all know he can be.
The cape makes him faster back there.
Cape makes him faster. He helps his team out so much by
Immensely.
essentially, what was it? After one game, fully figuring out the wicketkeeper position
Yeah.
and being able to stay back there, save boundaries, keep dots by catching ball, by making sure you're protecting these balls. Mm-hmm. I wish I started tracking DRS right from the beginning. Because I'm interested in seeing where he stacks up to somebody like Dalton, who we're sure is saving runs like crazy.
But curious to see what's the more valuable spot.
So Jimmy, actually, if you're still listening to our podcast, if you could reach out to me and send me the DRS numbers for everyone in the tournament, if it's readily available to you, if that's all right.
Yeah.
I'd really appreciate it because it's something that I am very interested in.
It's new for this tournament that they've been recording this, right? I think he might have said in the morning recently that it's just like if a run would have scored if that player wasn't there. That's how they kind of calculate it.
Yeah. So I'm very interested in this because
track
K-Mac seems to be, shooting himself up and up and up the list of players who are not only good offensively, very good defensively as well.
The one thing I can think about, maybe the outfielders it's more easy to save runs because the ball's usually being hit forward and it's a little more rare for like foul tips to come back your way as a wicketkeeper. But I think the wicketkeeper feels more important sometimes just because it's such like a gut punch when you get hit for like a tipped 4 backwards. It's like, oh yeah, right in the jejunum.
Yeah.
Send me, bro.
Send me, bro.
Yeah.
You did. You watched it yesterday.
That's right.
Yeah, good job, K-Mac. Deserved. Very deserved.
Yeah, you can tell he's having fun back there.
Giving it to Colin. Colin also had a great defensive game for McFlurry Power, which they needed. They really needed against a team like Del Caribe. We saw in the final last year, the only way to stop Del Caribe is by playing really good defense, and then they did it again this time.
Yeah.
Good
You know
job.
what? It's a good formula to win is if you hit a bunch and defend well.
Hit a bunch, defend well. Good job, K-Mac.
Good job.
And now it's time for everybody's favorite segment.
Favorite schmegma.
What to watch for and predictions for the next 2 games.
I like it.
Semifinal 1, hook, line, sinkers, defending champions versus Wooga Wooga Wooga.
Wooga, 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 wooga.
We have some insider information
We know who
that
wins.
I don't think is that insider anymore. If you watched post game show,
If
the
you
post
watch
game
last
show,
tournament, you know Hook Line wins the championship of this tournament.
Hook, line, sinkers versus We Got Ice. Post game show. You've already heard Drew reached out to us, told us that he was sick. If you watch the post game show and listen to Jolly's voice, it is very clear that Jolly is also feeling under the weather.
Mm-hmm.
Drew told us, this is supposed to be out there, but whatever, I'm going to say it. Drew told us that Jolly and him on the second day of the playoffs, this is after the game aired, he said that they felt like corpses. Mm-hmm. Without that knowledge, I probably would have said hook, line, sinkers are going to do what hook, line, sinkers does. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to beat Woogas. With that knowledge, I'm very interested to see how Jolly is going to play, because Jolly on the bat, I think that might delay him a little against a pitcher or a bowler as good as Jimmy or Sanjay.
Yeah.
In the field, Jolly has been awesome defensively, and I want to see if this takes him one step behind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see it like not affecting like striking all that much. Like we saw an injured Luke being a different kind of injury, but helping him out.
Injuries, sicknesses are
different things. Like it's more of like a head thing, I guess. Sicknesses and having a clogged brain.
Delays your reaction time a little bit.
It's hard to say what it would do.
So I'm interested in seeing that. I think without this knowledge, I would have picked hook, line to win and go to the final again. With this knowledge, I'm going to think Woogas are going to win this game, but it's going to be tight.
Wooga wagon.
Wooga wagon.
I'm going to still stick with hook line. I think they're just so much of a wagon, and they're so sound strategically that I think they've just shown you they can overcome anything. And I believe in them, and every guy on that team is a stud and can pick up the other one if someone's not performing.
Yeah.
I love them.
So it's a toss-up. It really is a toss-up. It's all going to come down to how this illness the guys.
Yeah.
Semifinal 2.
Semifinal 2.
The one that I know I did not see coming. Lovias versus McFlurry Power.
Mm-hmm.
It's a case of explosive bats. And whose bat's going to be more explosive? Is it going to be K-Mac? Is it going to be Nicky? Is it going to be Hamad? Is it going to be Justin?
Yeah.
What's going to happen here? Is it going to come down to the third batsman? Who knows? Because both teams have excellent bowling. I want to see something. Their bowlers are their top bowlers are all top 15, and Colin is slowly working his way up at 17 as well.
Yeah. I think he throws a little bit better with the overhand too that he's figured out.
Yep.
They also both these teams have a bad. I think you can kind of like cancel out both their fourth strikers for the most part. I mean, Colin's a little bit better than Peter, but I think neither of them want to get to their fourth. Obviously, their
the
top
big
three guys
thing
are all
here,
good,
though, is we know what the averages are in terms of runs scored per complete over. Mm-hmm. The big difference for the defensive end, McFlurry Power's top 2 bowlers, Jack Meacher and Justin Dilla. 13.67 economy, 14 economy. Average. Not bad, not good.
Yeah.
Perfectly average. That's fine. Lovia's top 2 bowlers, their economies, Nicky Cass and Peter Moylan. 7.5.
7 is disgusting.
And 10.
Yeah.
That's half of the average, 7.5. For those keeping track at home.
Wacky.
So I think, based on all of that, even though McFlurry Power has the batters, they haven't faced bowlers as good as this yet.
Yeah. And
so
a defensive team, I think those bowling numbers come from how defensively they squeeze teams.
Not to mention if Hamad goes nut job again.
Yeah.
I think you got to say Lavias are going to win this game.
Yeah,
And
I
we're
hate to agree with you because it's not fun, but I
yeah,
do
get
agree with
fucked.
you.
Papa,
I hate to disagree with you, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Let's go, McFlurry Power.
my Flurry Power is going to win 100-0.
Full shutout. Yeah, I'm with you. I think even blowing numbers aside, this team can just shut down an offense and scare you from what they could do in the field.
Yep.
But I wouldn't be surprised, just as inner gut feelings wise, and loving this sport now. I could in this warehouse. I feel that McFlurry just wants to continue to dominate warehouse at tournament to tournament. They just want. I want to see them show up
Why
to the
wouldn't they?
championship again and be like, oh my god, I can't believe they're doing it again. The sport that
Yeah.
they just started playing.
Why wouldn't they?
Yeah, I'd love to see it. I'm voting officially Lovia's, but I think I want to see McFlurry in the championship.
Yeah, I could sympathize with that.
Yeah.
I would love to see a hook line McFlurry Power Championship again.
Yes.
That would be
Yes.
really cool.
And this
Especially
time
if
it's
hook
at
line
Hook
won
Line's
it
home
this
turf.
time. Yeah. But I also kind of want to see new guys in the. Want to see Wugoslavias in the championship because I fear that, especially with floorball coming up, seeing McFlurry Power in the championship too much is going to get maybe next year. But for this first cycle, I think it'll be exciting if like McFlurry Power wins this and then wins floorball again, and then it's like are they going to complete the sweep?
I know.
And if they win this, they'll be the first team to win all three majors, just maybe not within a one season.
Right. But they're on. If they win this one, that will be 3 in a row, all 3 sports.
Yep. So I don't know if I want to see them win the treble just yet, but
So it'll be a fake.
I would love for I want new champions typically.
Okay.
I want new champions, new everything, but either way, I think the 4 teams that are in it are very fun and I would love if any of them won.
Okay. I think at this
Brendan.
point in the tournament, I'm a McFlurry fan. That's about it.
Wow. Over hook line.
Yeah.
We're hook line boys, Brendan.
I know, but I love the story of this.
Story is a different thing.
These heels just going in.
The story is Captain's League.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
Brendan, what should people be drinking?
Drink Subtle Tea is a drink made by me. You can find it at thesubtletea.com. You can get $2 off your order of a 12-pack using code HOPPYBOYS. The Hoppy Boys is a podcast that I co-host with my buddy Brian, and we talk about beer. We're coming up on our 100th episode pretty soon, so check out our big the episode's running up to the 100th. I think we're going to do a lot of funny stuff. You'll go, haha. All 3 episodes, 1 per. So look out for that. And listen to The Lonely Boys, where we cover Gossip Girl. We're in our last season over there. Finishing that horrible show. I'm starting to hate it. And I would not recommend watching Gossip Girl to anyone. But the podcast is fun, and we make jokes, so listen to that. And YouTube. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Blitzball Boys.
Blitzball Boys. I will plug, as always, my brother Matthew Del Rey. He's a good boy. I love him very much. Give him a hug and kiss if you see him. God knows he needs it. Thank you to everybody who is listening. We appreciate it, especially when we really haven't been doing that good with recordings this time around.
Maybe they like it. Maybe they like the bunched up. I have fun doing these.
Yeah, if you listen to this and reach out to us if you like it better bunched up like this, or if you like it the individual games. But either way, we really appreciate you listening. Place of Stars, Brendan, answering the question.
You got anything else you want to talk about?
Nope. Bye.
Bye.